What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode or final episode of Dissecting Loki. Episode 6, man. The end of everything that is good in Marvel, essentially. And then
For
now
now.
we're, well, I don't know about that. I mean, like the Marvels was a piece of garbage.
I still haven't
It was just horrible. A little too high in my chair. There we go. No, I didn't like the Marvels at all. It was so disappointing. But what do you gotta do? But yeah, no, we're here. We're not gonna be talking about the Marvels. Talking about Loki here. Actually, one of the best ones that they've ever done. And it pretty much supports my hypothesis on what's going on in the whole Marvel universe of it all. Which, as I said before, they need to be writing for older and for millennials instead of just younger viewers who doesn't really pay attention to or subscribe to their services. So but yeah, no, so this show took a turn. I think I said before that I was about what 20% correct.
Yeah.
About 20% correct. They did take my notes. Disney was watching. Disney was watching. It's like, yeah, Disney was watching your podcast. Like, no, this was filmed like fucking a year ago. But they did take notes, and there's some takeaways from what I said, and I was right on some of them, but majority of the time, I mean, like 80% of them was like I was totally wrong. And they did the whole All-Star Superman ending. And again, I'm going to iterate what that means. Is that essentially an All-Star Superman? This just clip notes, okay? Just clip notes of it all, just to make it quick. Superman's dying because he has collected way too much solar energy in his body, because his body is literally a lithium ion, and it's just kind of taking up all this energy and all that stuff, and it's gonna get to the point where it just explodes, which essentially what lithium ion batteries are.
A bomb.
Yeah, God, a bomb, yeah. So he's dying. So essentially he's dying. And yeah, and then the main thing about the whole book was him just spending time with Lois and everybody else that he cares about, because of his dying days. And essentially there was a antagonist, which is the Sun Eater, and the sun was about to explode from the inside out and extinguish everything, and everyone and life on Earth will die. So what he did was he blew into the core of the sun, and on his dying seconds or dying minutes, and exploded inside the sun. But it turns out that he just exploded out of all the energy. Doesn't necessarily mean that he died. Like, his body didn't like explode. It's just that he made a big like supernova. He just went supernova. His body is still intact, but now he's excruising this huge solar energy, which reignited the sun, because the sun went dim. So he reignited the sun, and they found out that, based on their calculations, in order for the sun to be reignited onto its own without Superman's help, he has to stay there for more than 1 million years or so. So he's there all alone, reigniting the sun and fixing everything from the core itself. So that is All-Star Superman. That was written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Frank Quietly, one of the two best duels out there for comic books. And essentially that's what they did with Loki. He sacrificed his own happiness and all that stuff to be alone, to be the keeper of time, right?
It's kind of like the story of Atlas. He's holding up the world by himself, and if he doesn't do it, there is no world.
Yeah, essentially it's kind of like Atlas, but Atlas is more of like a punishment.
Yeah.
If you read up the Greek mythology, that was more of a
Yeah.
punishment. So this one's more of like these two, Loki and Superman, were more of like
It
selfless
was their
sacrifice.
choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was more of like selfless sacrifice and all that stuff, right? So the ending was right. The ending was great. I didn't expect the ending, but it was something that I thought would be the best way to end it,
I
because
agree.
I mentioned before the trouble with writing comic books or writing scripts for anybody who's an OP and essentially a god. It's really hard to humanize them, because that's the only way that you can get these powerful characters to relate to you. Because if they're not related to you, what if you can't relate to them? There's no point reading their shits. It just becomes too fantasy, and then in in a climate nowadays where everything's grounded in reality and everybody wants to relate to it, you know, it's not going to work, right? That's why Superman's name was dragged to the dirt during the 80s, is because no one can relate to Superman anymore, right? Because he was too
Yeah.
powerful. It's like, how are you going to kill somebody who's that powerful? And I said before that kryptonite doesn't kill him. Kryptonite merely just sedates him, and that's about it. It doesn't kill him, it just makes him weak and all that stuff. So this is the best way to actually end all things. And I think you're gonna see that on Thor 2 as well. I think they're gonna make one more Thor, they announced.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna do the exact same thing with Thor 2 as well. He has to be left alone by himself. It's just that's just how you write gods. You know what I mean? Like even God of War is somewhat similar to that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, he has a son, but like it's somewhat similar to that. They're always in solitude. They're always by themselves. So, but yeah, no, it's a really good ending. Just to side note a little bit, I read somewhere on, I think it was on Instagram today, that they said that Loki is gonna play a big part on Avengers Secret War. No shit. He's a keeper of time. He would play a big role on everything Marvel right now. Like you can say anything about Marvel, he'll play a big part. He can do a cameo in every single Marvel movie from here on in.
Is
You know what I
he the
mean?
next? Is he the next Stanley?
He's technically like he's technically Madam Web. That's essentially what it
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because Madam Web could be anywhere, anytime, at any place, right?
And I also read today that apparently, I guess Secret Wars is gonna fully integrate the Sony verse into the MCU. So I don't know what that exactly means. I mean, I know Tobey Maguire is supposed to be in it, but apparently, from what it was saying, like every Spider-Man universe that Sony has made is gonna have to do with
All,
that movie.
all it is just borrowed. That's all it is.
Yeah,
Sony's not. If you gotta have to look at it from the business perspective of it, Sony's not going to sell their Spider Verse, right?
until they're not
Marvel's
making any money, and
Yeah,
that'll be never.
Marvel sold that to them long ago. Unless they do the Fox route, the only way that Disney's ever going to get a hold of Spider-Man is if they buy off Sony. That's the only way. That's the only, because that's what they did with Fox. Fox wouldn't let go of the mutants, and essentially that's it comes down to that. Whether you believe it or not, this is a business move. When Disney bought Fox, is because they don't want the Simpsons, they don't want the X-Files, they don't want Independence Day, they don't want any of those. Like, you think they want Avatar? They don't want Avatar.
They want
They don't want
X-Men.
any, like they don't want any of those. They want the X-Men, they want the mutants. The mutants was worth $2.5 billion. I think that's what it was sold for. That's what the mutants are worth.
So,
And right now, so far, it's paying off, somewhat paying off right now, right?
so what do you think Spider-Man's worth? Because eventually they're gonna want to buy it. Eventually,
They're not going to sell it. That's the thing. It's not about them wanting to buy Spider-Man. They want Spider-Man. It's about Sony selling
selling it,
Spider-Man.
yeah. But
You know what I mean?
what do you think? What do you
Sony's
think?
Sony's not
Sony's
going to.
like, I'm just
No,
saying. What do you think if Sony was in dire straits? What do
can't
you
it can't
think?
it
It'd
can't
probably,
be
it'd
because you
probably
got to
be.
look at it,
I'm gonna
because
say it'd be
Sony.
triple of X-Men.
because you got to look at it this way. Sony is just as is almost, if not just as big as Disney is. Yeah, they're not doing the exact same revenue, but they have just as much property. What I'm staring at right now, this camera is a Sony ZV-1, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is part of Sony, right? TriStar, Columbia Pictures, those are Sony properties, right? Well, I
Yep.
don't think there's TriStar anymore, but Columbia and whatnot, those are Sony properties. There's no way that Sony will sell, because if Sony sells, that means that every single, not just movie property, but also product, everything would be sold. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like if you look at Amazon's purchase of MGM, that's everything MGM, right? Movies, other production companies, the MGM Grand in Vegas, those are all included on that sale with Jeff Bezos, right?
Yeah.
So that means that if Sony was to sell, that means that they have to sell everything. You know what I mean? Because you got to think of it this way, and I know we're side noting a little bit. You gotta think of it this way. If you're Sony, you're not just gonna sell. We're just gonna sell you the movie properties, and we're gonna keep the production line. No, man, you're gonna go with how much money you can squeeze out of Disney. You know what I mean? That means product line, movies, TV, everything, TV sets, PlayStation, fucking PlayStation, man.
I don't say
PlayStation.
I'm just talking about Spider-Man as a whole. I think that the only way that either way Sony would sell it is if they weren't making any money anymore off of Spider-Man, but I don't foresee that happening for
It's not gonna
decades.
happen. It's not gonna happen because they're stuck on Disney's stuck on this vicious circle, right? They need Spider-Man for their movies. Sony has Spider-Man, and they're gonna rent it out to them. It's just one big circle over and over. You know what I mean? They just got the rights for the Hulk,
Yeah,
right?
finally.
Right? They just got the rights for the Hulk because Universal finally the Hulk back to them,
Yeah.
right? Because you can't really build a universe out of the Hulk, right? It's not like a Spider-Man. It's not like Spider-Man. You can't build a franchise out of it. Warner Brothers sold back Blade to them, right?
Yeah.
So because you can't really build anything from Blade. Well, technically you could, but Warner Brothers just never had that vision.
Yeah.
Um, the ultimately what it is that these companies that Marvel sold all their properties to, they're looking at their properties right now and be like, okay, can we build a universe out of this? Right?
Exactly.
Because if we can build a universe out of this, we might as well sell it back to Marvel and Disney, right? That's why they gave back the Hulk, because you can't really build a universe out of the Hulk. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Hulk is a good read, but if you look at the roster of his antagonists, it's not really there. You know what I mean? You can't play the whole Betty thing the whole time, the whole Betty Ross. Like that's just boring. You know what I mean? So the Spider-Man one is the biggest one. Like the X-Men brand, yes, there was a lot there on the X-Men brand, but if you think about it in Fox, they don't own any like physical hardware property. Like there's no Fox camera.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no Fox TV or like television sets or anything like that. There's no PlayStation. So yeah, technically when they bought Fox, they just bought all their property, television and movies. Do you know what I mean? So no, that's not gonna happen. They're not gonna sell Spider-Man. If they ever sell Spider-Man, this is going to be the biggest acquisition in American history. It will have to be. You're probably looking at about 30 to about $40 billion.
Yeah,
Like that's a
which
lot.
is even for Disney, I think that's ridiculous.
And even then they have to go through like the FCC and all that stuff, and they gotta have to do the whole Microsoft acquisition of what was
Bethesda,
that? Huh?
Blizzard.
Blizzard. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be like the whole acquisition of Blizzard because it's such a big purchase and such a big property. They're looking into like, is this monopoly?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now if you take Sony, yeah, you're fucking monopolizing everything now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like everything's owned by Disney. Like shoes is probably owned by Disney pretty soon, man. But yeah, that's what's gonna happen on the Spider-Man thing. But I it's it's very interesting that the 40th anniversary of Secret Wars is actually this year, and then they're going to introduce the black suit Spider-Man and all that stuff. So I thought that was pretty good marketing. That's pretty good timing in there.
Yeah,
So that's in May, by the way. So I'm trying to book John Betty and man, I forgot the other one. John Betty and
Michael
Jim
Zach.
Shooter. Jim Shooter. Jim Shooter. And see Schuster. Shooter, no Shooter. Jim
Shooter,
Shooter.
you're right. You're right.
Jim Shooter. Schuster is a Superman. Jim Shooter for an interview. See. Mike Ozek is in the Philippines somewhere. I don't know where he's at. He's retired now, so he's a rare signature there. So but yeah, no. What do you think about the whole thing with Loki? I mean, like, do you think that this was like the best way for them to end the whole series?
I really think it was. You kind of this is fully rounds out Loki's arc. He gets what he wanted reluctantly. It shows
Hmm.
that it was something that he desperately wanted in the beginning of his time in Marvel, and then it's kind of like a bittersweet
Hmm.
thing because it's not he gets what he wants, but it's not what he wants at the end of it. It's what I'm
Hmm.
trying to say. It's not what he really wants at the end of it, but it's what he has to do because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
That makes
that
sense.
that's
Yeah.
that's basically like the whole that's the whole hero anger, which is a selfless sacrifice,
Yes.
right? It's called the sacrifice, right? That's those are the things that would get you to God mode. I mean, like the story of if you look at Disney Hercules, it's always been like that,
Yeah.
right? The sacrifice and all that stuff. It's very there's a very religious undertone in there.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Because like if you look at like anything in religion, like in the Catholic religion, selfless sacrifice would get you to heaven like automatically.
Yeah.
Like automatically. You saw it in Constantine, man, at the end of Constantine, man, the sacrifice, right? Um so yeah, no, I mean, I think it was really nice. It was really good. I thought that they would do an open ending on this on Loki,
I
so
agree.
so there will be like a season 3, but they really had an end, like they closed the whole thing out. The whole arc of Loki is just really closed up. So anything from here on in is just
Cameos
it
probably.
just just cameos, and that's about it, right?
See,
Which in the which in like in the actor's point of view, like from Tom Hiddleston's point of view, he gets paid a lot more money for just cameos.
yeah.
So instead of doing like long process of it, like for 14 years he was doing this and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like he had a big break with Kong. That was
Yeah.
actually
That was
that
a
was
good
pretty,
movie.
that was actually pretty cool, right? But yeah, man, like he's like he was the OG. He was one of the OGs from the Avengers, first Avengers, and that was about it. Now the question is that where is Marvel gonna lead to now, right? Like how are they gonna do all this thing? So now with the Marvels, they crossed over to another dimension with it, with the ending. They introduce the X-Men by showing somebody there.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I've seen spoilers. So, like
Okay, so
at this point, I know Beast shows up.
yeah, so they showed Beast in there at the very end, and Kelsey Grammer um reprised his role
Oh,
for
he did.
Beast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he reprised his role as Beast, but with the comic accuracy of Disney, he is the 1992 version of Beast.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, so it's the 1992 version of it, not the Fox version of it. It's the 1992 version of Beast. So it's actually really accurate. So that was like the biggest surprise for me. Like it wasn't really a surprise, but like it was a surprise and expected. Like I expected them to be more comic book accurate
Yeah, they
on
should
it,
be at
right?
this point,
And then
especially with Logan. We see
yeah,
Wolverine.
even with Binary, when they showed Binary in there, from the costume down, right? The costume of Binary is actually comic book accurate because not a lot of people know Binary is actually part of the X-Men property created by Chris Claremont. So, um, you know, so it was really nice to see a comic book accurate characters in there, right? Um, the uncertainty right now is that there was news that Brie Larson doesn't want to be Captain Marvel anymore.
Well, I get it from all the like hate she's getting, but I have also read the same thing, and I've also
Mm.
read that like, oh, she's gonna stay. So
Yeah,
I don't know. You don't know who to trust anymore.
I'm
If
gonna side. I'm gonna side note a little bit further in here from Loki, and I'll tell you this: Marvel really fucked up Captain Marvel. They did. They fucked it up really bad because they should have gone with the original storyline of Captain Marvel. Do you know what I mean?
have the male guy first, and then have her take over.
Yes, they were more. Disney and Marvel were too preoccupied with the whole woke culture in there, and they wanted a female lead right away, right? Instead of actually developing it and making it better. Because if you really think about it, really think about it, if you went with the Captain Marvel part of it, and then
Pass down
led
the
on
mantle.
and then went to and passed on the mantle to
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. I was gonna say Carol Danvers. I was just say Carol Danvers. Pass on the mantle to Carol Danvers. That has the most emotional storyline, and you're setting up Carol Danvers for a big push, for a huge push, right? Because for some of you guys don't know the how Captain Marvel went to Captain Marvel, which is Carol Danvers, is because of the way Captain Marvel died,
Cancer,
right?
correct?
Cancer, man. He went through cancer, right? Like I was talking to Chris Claremont with this. If you watch my interview with Chris Claremont, you know, he actually did that because his father at the time was in chemotherapy of cancer. So him dying of cancer of not natural causes, but of a disease, of a natural disease like that, it was something that's never been done in comic books before, nor has it been seen, in my opinion, in the MCU. So if you were to do that, you would have the emotional attachment for Captain Marvel, and people would love that character. And you're setting up Carol Danvers for a huge push. You know what I mean? Like a big push. Because now you're not passing it on to a male, you're passing it to a female, and then it's Captain Marvel there,
Who's
and then
who's
yeah,
earned it?
yeah, who's pretty much earned it. It would have been a lot better than the way that they did it now, which they just made a big push for Carol Danvers. That's why people hated Captain Marvel and the Marvels. It's not
Yeah,
just because of not because a lot of people were saying, oh, because it's female. Because I commented on someone on Instagram. It really got to me, man. I don't know why. I commented on someone's Instagram. They're like, oh, you guys don't like the Marvels because it's all women. I'm like, no, that's not because it's all women. It's because it was horrible writing. It's because of the horrible writings that they've done. Brie Larson is an Academy Award winning actress. She knows what the fuck she's doing.
yeah, she's
You know
not
what I
a bad
mean?
actress.
She's not a bad actress. She knows what she's fucking doing. It's the writing that's horrible. The director knows what shots need to be made. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we just talked about this on random nerdy podcast that just got posted. The director knows her shit. She knows her shit. The writing's horrible. So that's just my 2 cents on that Marvel thing. It just kind of really irks me with that Marvel thing. Like
well,
people just
I'm
need
just hoping with Bob Iger back that they can kind of like fine tune everything and get it back to prime Marvel. We'll call it that.
it's not gonna happen because
Never
again,
say never. Be optimistic, Tim. Come on.
they're gonna go with nostalgia. Well, they just signed up like 4 out of the 5
Yeah, but
four out of the 6
that's
Avengers.
only for the Secret Wars movie. That's gonna be it.
Yeah, but it's still
One movie, and
they're
then they're
still
gonna be gone.
they're still relying on that. Do you know how old will you be by the time Secret Wars comes out?
I'll be probably 40.
and they're probably not gonna do Kang the Kang Dynasty anymore. So
Yeah,
they're not gonna do
I
Kang.
think they're gonna just they'll probably have Kang in like one more movie, and then that's gonna
Yeah,
be it.
chances are it's gonna be called Secret Wars, and then the next one it's gonna be a 2-part series. The second one will be called War World or something like that.
I mean,
Or
I'm almost thinking that Kang will still be around. His role will
mhm,
just be severely cut.
mhm.
That's what I'm thinking. He'll just be another character.
Yeah, you just have to look at the Doctor Doom storyline from the 90s, and then you'll know how that's gonna work out. But you know, it's just that by the time Kang Dynasty or whatever they want to call that second part of their epic conclusion, I, I'm I'm fucking 40 next year. We're not gonna
Old
see it
man,
until like we're gonna be like I'm gonna be probably be like 42, 43 by the
probably.
time that second part is filmed and done with. 44, 43, 44, and you're still and your writing staff and your writers are still writing for 18 to 25. There's going to be one huge fail for Marvel. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be one huge fail, and it's going to suck. It's going to suck. So that's just me. But I hope they do more Loki. So I will tell you this though. So just to bring it back to Loki, I was hoping that Thor would appear in Loki somewhat.
I mean, not this season, but he kind of did last season.
Yeah. I mean, like he's not really.
And they even showed the deleted scene where Throg goes
Mhm.
against Loki. They released that scene,
Yeah.
which is kind of
It
funny. Which
it
Chris
was
Helmsworth did the voice.
yeah. It's kind of odd that the ending of Loki, they made it seem like all the timelines and all the threads are attached to him.
Well,
I don't
yeah, it
think
was
I
him
don't think
representing him holding all the branch timelines and
I
making it in the form of Ygritte. So
I mean he made it to a form of a tree and they put it all together, but I don't think that all the timelines are attached to him, like physically. Kind of weird.
I don't know. He knows magic, so it's magic.
No, it's just very odd. Like I don't think it's like let's just think of like the most practical thing. How's it gonna pee?
Um,
Just
he just pees himself, and then the tree grows.
I'm just I mean like you're also gonna have to look at I forgot what the medical name for that for this is, like when you sit on one spot for the longest time. It happens when you're like in the hospital. In the hospital when you can't move, they rotate
Atrophy.
you. Huh?
Oh, I was gonna say like muscle atrophy when you can't move after not
Yeah.
moving so
Well,
much.
because your blood is just gonna be like just on that one spot, right? So
Oh,
yeah, so I mean, you can't be sitting the whole time, right? And then if it does move around, does the tree fucking move around?
but
Like,
then again, like I said, he knows magic, so he could probably like put like how he does the body double of
mhm.
himself. He could probably put a body double of himself in any universe that he
I
wants.
mean, no, it's still it doesn't make sense that all the branches are attached to him. I just think that it
He's
was
holding it
a
all together.
no. I think it's just a representation that he's holding it together. Yes, but the actual thing that's holding it together is his magic that's holding it together, not him physically holding it or attached to him. Do you know what I mean? Like that just seems dumb, even for comic books. Like that is like, can you imagine that? That's just dumb. Just looking at comic book wise, because one sudden movement, he could just, you know, take a thread out. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make any sense. I think
It doesn't
I
have
think
to. It's a comic book movie.
no, I mean I know, but they're trying to be more grounded to reality. So I don't think it's physically attached to him. I think his magic is holding it together. I think his magic is holding it together. The physical representation of him in that tree means that he has to stay there, just like All Star Superman, in order for that tree to keep hold together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you can't just patch it with like a band-aid, like his magic. Like he just can't leave his magic there. You know what I mean? There has to be a
yeah.
keeper of time, right? So that's the whole thing about this show, season 1 to 2. There has to be a keeper of time. Season 1, the keeper of time has always been He Who Remains, right?
So
He had to be there,
who
right?
would be the next keeper of time
It can't you,
if
there is no next.
if Loki decided, or somebody tried to kill Loki?
No, you can't. You can't decide to just kill Loki. If you decide to kill Loki, then Loki knows that someone is going to kill him. That's the whole that's the paradox of this whole thing. That's my next other
It's
point
like
is
the
that,
whole thing just happens all over again.
yeah, so this is like the paradox of this is the paradox that they actually encountered, the issue that they've encountered in this show. Now that Loki is the keeper of time, technically, technically, Loki knew what was going to happen from season 1 to 2. They know,
Somewhere in some universe, yes.
because, yeah, because He Who Remains sees everything,
Yes.
right? He designed everything. He already know how it's going to end, right? If he knew how it was going to end, that means that Loki pretty much knew how it all began. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's, again, it's the whole chaos theory of it all, right? It's the whole paradox of it all, right? So in order for this to happen, this has to happen, but you have to exist within that universe first.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that actually created a lot of craziness that I'm kind of like thinking about. Oh, there you go, the studio lights. It was just a side note for everyone who's watching this on Nate's YouTube channel. Apple has did a brand new update so that you can actually manipulate the camera and what it looks like. So this is studio lights. This is my actual light. This is without the studio lights. They see it. Which one do you like?
Magic. Are you Loki?
I know I am low here. Which one do you prefer? This one or this one?
Am I getting
Tell
my
me.
glasses on? 1 or 2?
Yeah. So
Or
one or two, one or two,
2.
one or two. Two is like really bright. One is more like focused on me. No, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Two has now become a little bit darker than one. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm keeping it one then. Sorry, we're just side noted there. With Loki and everything, it complicates a lot more things in the Marvel universe now, more than people think, right? Loki has the power to do anything and everything right as of this moment, right? So what is the point of Secret Wars? You see what I'm saying? What is the point of Secret Wars, and what was the point? And what was the point of the ending
Kang.
for Marvels? What was the point of the ending in Marvels, and what was the point of Secret Wars? There's no point to that anymore
The only
because,
way I can think that there's a point is that at some point something's going to happen to Loki to where they're going to have to once again either make one single timeline, like it's all fused together and it doesn't need to be held by one person,
Mhm.
or I don't know how this would make any sense
Well, I
because it
mean,
would contradict the whole Loki storyline of trying to hold all the universes together.
yeah,
The TVA just has to go.
hmm they can do the whole Elseworld thing. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it is, the ending of Loki complicates a lot of things. It complicates a lot of things. Mainly, did Ant-Man and the Wasp doesn't really, Quantum Mania doesn't make sense anymore. Makes no sense anymore
I mean,
if you really think about it.
not that it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yes, it's like a wash,
Yeah.
right? It's like a wash. And then on top of that, since Loki oversees everything, yeah, I mean, There's also like the whole TVA trying to look for all the other Kangs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of it, they're like, "Oh yeah, there was a hiccup on 616 Kang there, but the Avengers seemed to take care of it." So they were talking about Ant-Man and the
Ant-Man.
Wasp.
Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? It's like they took care of it before we stepped in. So it's kind of odd and weird now because the TVA existed to keep the timeline intact, right? So now that Loki's there physically there, doesn't he not know where all the Kangs are at?
That's true.
He knows where all the Kangs are at right now. So what's the point of the TVA? So now
Yeah.
there's no. So now the point of there's no more point of the TVA. You know for a fact that Morbius is going to appear on Deadpool because they're
Yeah.
going to hire the Deadpool to eliminate all the Fox properties, right? The Fox universe, right? So it's just kind of weird now that Loki being the keeper of time and he knows everything and anything. So he knows how it all ends.
Maybe he know. Maybe the only thing I think was maybe he realizes that it does have to end.
The only way, yeah, I see what you're saying. I think the only way that they can solve this, if they want to go back and do a war world and singular every single timeline in there, they have to go with a one above all. They got to go with the one above all. They have to. That's the only way. They I at one point, after Secret Wars, the one above all will have to step in. Not even the Living Tribunal, because the Living Tribunal is, it's not that powerful. The one above all is the one that's powerful. And I think that's going to be cool if they do that because it looks like Jack Kirby because everybody knows the one above all is Jack Kirby.
Well, this would be the interesting thing. It's maybe Loki. The decision comes down to Loki saying, "Okay, this has to end for a certain reason, but I don't want to make the choice." So he makes the people fight for their own, like Dragon Ball Z, what the
Like Dragon Ball
universal,
Z wise.
like Dragon Ball Super, the universal tournament. Whoever wins, their freaking universe stays, and the rest go.
Yeah. Although a very good series, Dragon Ball Super, it also makes no sense.
I mean, it makes
I'll,
perfect sense. It's just constantly, okay, we got to get stronger. Okay, I'm the strongest. Oh, no, someone's stronger. I got to get stronger. I'm the strongest. Oh, wait, no, it's the same thing over
yeah,
and over
but they
again.
but they just used the one wish on one universal dragon to get all the universe back up again. So the whole tournament made no sense.
I
They should
know.
have just had the tournament without eliminating anybody.
We found the answer. Summon Shenron, and we can fix the Marvel Universe. There we go.
Just get Shenron in here and be like, Shenron, here's my 3 wishes, man. First off, fix this whole thing.
Fix Marvel. Second,
fix
fix
Marvel.
DC.
Like
Third,
fix
make Marvel versus DC. Go.
Yeah. Fix Marvel, fix DC. The mutants are back in the MCU. Just get everything fixed. Cause oh my god, because they went with more of Kevin Feige went more of like what it's gonna look like beyond Iron Man. Do you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
didn't focus on content. Because now again, like I said before, if you watch the MCU right now, phase 1 to 3. Phase 1 to 3, in sequence, you're going to be like this is a piece of shit movie. And like this is horrible, man. And you're going to be like the only shining movies there is Secret Wars, Civil War and Winter Soldier. Those are the only two. Everything else doesn't make any sense. Like I challenge everybody to watch the MCU again and tell me that from Iron Man #1 until Secret Wars, no, until Infinity War, tell me if any of those movies are just fucking awesome. Like analyze it really well. And don't get captivated by the lights and this explosion and everything. Todd McFarlane was right when I interviewed him, man. When there is a point, uh, a point in the conflict, you should always be serious and not crack jokes. Like it doesn't make any sense. But that's just me. I always thought that the Marvel needs to be fixing their writing, and Loki season 2 proved it. Loki season 2 proved it. Could it been longer than what is that, 7 episodes? Or was
Six
that 7?
episodes.
6
Six.
episodes? Could have been longer than 6 episodes? Yes. It definitely should have been longer than 6 episodes. Did it feel like you were cut off after the 6th episode? No, it didn't. It had a big conclusion. That means that the writers were so fucking good at what they did that something that should have taken at least 12 episodes, they nailed it down to 6. And you didn't feel like you got ripped off like Ahsoka.
Well, apparently episode 5 was supposed to be a completely different thing than what it was, and apparently everybody thought it was like really good, but they decided to scrap it because it probably conflicted with so many things.
Yeah, for you talking about for Loki?
Yeah.
For Loki? No, I'm like, well, that's just a testament of their writing style. You know what I mean? That's just a testament on the writing and the writers, right? That's why they should get paid for the big bucks because of shit like that, man. Can you imagine?
And
You're just
apparently
like,
that episode 5 was rewritten over a weekend.
oh, really?
Yeah.
No, it can't be over the weekend, and then they just played, and then they just showed it.
No, they rewrote it. Like when the guy
Oh,
originally
over the. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm like, what? Like, what?
No,
They had
not
a strike.
reshot, rewritten.
I was like, you gotta have to look at it this way, man. Like the fact that it should have been the 12-part series, they made it to 6 and made you feel the way that you're feeling and made you feel satisfied. That's fucking good, man. That's fucking awesome.
We need more of it.
Like you didn't even need to see Morbius back to his old time, right? You didn't even have to see that part.
I don't know why, but I felt like that last scene with Mobius, like there, I felt like I was watching Men in Black. Like right before he's like, well, all right, this is
Yeah.
it. Look up at the stars, and then flashes them or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting, that kind of feeling.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that escaped me. I didn't know that, man. Yeah, you're true, man. It is. It's kind of like a Man in Blackish kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
going back to the thing after 46 years in coma. A man in coma for 46 years came back. Yeah, no, man. Like it's just very well written. That show was very well written, and you will never see that well written of a show again in a very long time. Yeah, it sucks, but you're not going to. You're gonna get like garbage looking ones. So that includes Shang-Chi, man. And they're planning some Shang-Chi. I'm like,
Yeah, they just said they're gonna do Shang-Chi too, but I don't know. I like the first one. I just think they set him up to show up somewhere else, and they didn't do anything with him.
listen, I've said it before, and I said it again. I'll say it again. Asians don't raisins, but don't rely on that quote and expect Simon Liu to be forever young. That's not gonna fucking happen. All
I don't
right.
know. He looked good in Barbie. He
Oh,
was still looking pretty young.
I get that, but I'm just saying, like, it's not gonna happen. Mahershala Ali, is it Mahershala Ali?
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, he's gonna age out of Blade. If they don't make Blade, he's gonna age out of Blade, and they need to. And then they're gonna find another Blade, right? Like, what's the next Marvel movie right now? Did they say?
The next one coming out is Deadpool.
And that's it.
Yeah, for next year, that's it. Then, technically next year we got Sony Marvel, which is Kraven, Madam Web, and possibly Venom.
All don't.
I think Venom's gonna get pushed back to 2025. That's
all don't
my
count.
opinion. Yeah.
By the time that they get their act together, it'll be 2027, 2026. We're in 2024 now, man. In like what? 42 days?
Don't remind me.
And
Christmas is almost here.
42 days. We're in 2024, right? We're in 2024, and the only Marvel right now is Deadpool. So, and you got nothing else.
Only thing I can say is that Deadpool movie better be freaking good.
What do you think is gonna happen to the character that played Miss Marvel by the time that you see her again? She'll be full grown adult. You
She'll
gotta
be
recast her.
25.
Jesus.
She'll be called Mrs. Marvel.
Marvel is in so much more they have so much internal issues. They don't even know what to do with it anymore. So I in my opinion, look forward to anything DC is going to be announcing. This is the perfect time for DC to strike. Do you know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is the perfect time for them to strike because their characters are younger. Their universe is not established yet, right? It's not established yet. And the characters that's going to be in their new universe are younger people now.
Yep.
And by the time that they have their big events or whatever, there will be full grown adults, which is fantastic. Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle is going to be like the first one out of the
Yeah.
gates, right? And then their Superman they're announcing their Superman right now,
Yep.
right? They announced who Lex Luthor's going to play, right? Did you know who
Possibly. They said possibly. He's
No,
in
it's
talk.
man, you are so behind in this. They
I
already
just looked at Instagram before I got on here. He said he's in
it's
talks. The
it's no,
Beast,
it's already
the guy who played Beast, Nicholas Holt,
it's
is
done.
in talks.
It's done. It's done. CBR already has confirmed it, and everybody else has confirmed it already. You're always behind on a lot of things because like
No, I'm not.
this is
I was just on
what
Instagram
let me put
like
it this way.
10 minutes
What
before we did this, and they said, "Oh, this is breaking news. Nicholas Holt is in talks."
No, he's done. I'm telling you right now, it's already done. And when you sent me that Madam Web trailer, I was like,
Yeah.
I know he's sending me this in good faith, but I already seen it.
Yeah,
I got
I sent it to you after I got home from work, so I already saw it. But I'm like, I actually watched it at work without sound, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but it seems like Groundhog Day all over.
you saw it without sound. You're like, I have no idea what's going on. I gotta put some sound on. You put on the sound. I have no idea what's going on in here. I still don't
I was
know
like,
what's going
"Who's
on.
evil Spider-Man? He looks kind of cool, but who the heck is evil Spider-Man?"
I know, right? Like, who the hell is evil Spider-Man? Oh my god, man! I don't know. What's your hope for the MCU right now? I have no hope for MCU right now. Right now, they're all convoluted. I said it before, they're relying on nostalgia in order to
Well,
get more
my
people.
hope is that after Secret Wars, everything starts over. I'm hoping like Secret Wars is the big bang to restart Marvel.
Mhm.
That's what I think they're going to use it for.
Yeah,
They're gonna be like,
'cause
all right, this is gonna basically erase, even though you already watched and you like some of the stuff that we did before. This
mhm.
movie is going to reset the timer, and then everything you see from here is gonna be fresh and hopefully really well written.
We're gonna, in my opinion, I think that they should do that. Yes, they should reset everything, but begin in the Ultimate Universe.
Which could be what they do.
They no, not they could do this. I'm saying that that's what they should do.
Yeah.
Leave the 616 alone. Okay, there's so much more interesting thing in the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, they
So
just
much more.
simply say 616 book is closed. Now Ultimate.
Yeah, they should do that. In my opinion, if they're gonna do that on Secret Wars, the next arc next to Secret Wars should be Ultimate Universe. It should be like Avengers Secret Wars, right? And then the next one will be Avengers Ultimate.
Actually,
Or it
that,
should be
that
or it should be like it should have like the logo of like the Avengers, like just kind of like fade in. It says Avengers, and then you see like Ultimate on the top of it. You know
which
what I mean?
actually would make sense. You know why?
Mhm.
They could introduce their new Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
New Spider-Man. So Tom Holland doesn't have to do that anymore. They can introduce Miles Morales. Everyone in the Ultimate Universe are younger, right? They're younger too. Like you already got the first glimpse at what the Ultimate Universe could have looked like with Andrew Garfield, because the Amazing Spider-Man was actually taken from the Ultimate Universe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I think they should go with the Ultimate Universe. That's just me.
that could be where they go.
Yeah,
Time will tell.
everyone's younger and everything.
And I'm
So
hoping DC delivers because I'm excited for DC.
I am too, man. I am too, because like Jason Momoa doesn't look so much more excited when he was in Jimmy Fallon or anywhere else doing interviews for Aquaman. I've never seen someone so excited to end their run on a certain character that they love so much, just so that they can begin another character as Lobo.
Yes, and that's what
So,
everybody wants anyways. So.
like, yeah, that's what everybody wants anyways, right? Him as Lobo. I'm like, I get it, right? And he's like so much more excited about Lobo. He's like talking about Aquaman. He's like, yeah, this is gonna be the end of Aquaman. He's like, what the fuck? Why are you so happy about it?
Because I
Like,
don't
what
have to be Aquaman no more.
the hell? I was like, why are you so happy about this, man? You were the perfect Aquaman. It's like, yeah, but I'm gonna be Lobo.
I'm gonna be what I want.
It's gonna be Lobo. So no, I'm excited for what James Gunn has in store. I think that it's gonna be really good. DC, this is their time to strike. Um, but as far as MCU goes, Loki was like the last of the greats. So I don't see it being anything anymore with anybody else. I don't know. What's your final take on Loki?
Well, I think. Well, before that, I think maybe Deadpool could be the last great thing the Marvel does, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
But final takeaways on Loki. I was really blown away by it. I'm satisfied with it. It was nice to see something really good TV wise come out of Marvel.
Mhm.
Aside from like season 1 of Loki and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Those were like those two Guardians
Yeah.
would be my like favorite movie and Loki would be my favorite show.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely, man. No. So we were gonna say we're gonna make an announcement there. So Nate and I are gonna be doing more reviews, but it's gonna be on special occasions depending on what they are, right?
Yeah.
I think we were talking about The Boys.
Yeah, when that comes out, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, The Boys. When The Boys comes out, I think the new season's coming out in 2024. You know, there's a lot more that's going to be coming out there. You know, have The Boys coming out. Umbrella Academy is coming out now too as well.
Oh yeah, that's
Right.
right. I forgot about that.
Final season of Umbrella Academy is going to be coming out too as well. So, we're doing a lot more of those. We're going to be doing a lot more of those reviews coming in 2024. So, and then Nate and I were also talking about what if our what if theories. It's gonna be the show's gonna be called What If Elseworld. So essentially it's a whole what if for all Marvel fans. It's going to be a what if storyline for every single thing in comic books and all that stuff. But it's also going to touch on the original what ifs, which is the Elseworld series with DC Comics, right? That's not going to be a weekly thing, but we'll see how regular that we could do that. Um, I say we get started on this, Nate, next month,
Okay.
just in time for what if to come out.
All
Because
right.
what if comes out what, Christmas Day or before Christmas Day?
I'm not sure. I didn't even watch the trailer yet. I just saw like
Yeah,
it's coming out. I'm like, okay, cool.
yeah. Because apparently they're having a what if. What if is going to come out every day until Christmas Day.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's going to be every day until Christmas Day. So we'll probably do what ifs early next month, and then we'll do some what ifs in there. I don't know which topic we should do. What ifs first. I say we should start where Loki ended and then do the what if from there on in, man.
What if?
Yeah, our theory is in there. And also DC stuff too as well. But
Of course.
yeah. So those are two new shows that you guys should look out for me and Nate's What If Elseworlds and our reviews. We'll probably start on The Boys, since The Boys doesn't start until like summer or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and Deadpool and all that stuff. So
Of
everything's
course.
gonna get started. So by next year. So, again, that is it for dissecting Loki this season. Again, thank you for everybody who's been watching this on Plot House Pros. This has been a Plot House Pros exclusive. You guys wanted to see the season 1 dissecting Loki, that's on my YouTube channel there too as well, Uncensored
Check it out.
Nerds. But yes, but make sure that you guys subscribe to Nate's YouTube channel here at Plot Host Pros. There's gonna be a much more stuff coming in. So any last words, Nate?
Yes, I have been burdened with glorious purpose.
The glorious purpose. But until then, you guys could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. I appreciate that. We will see you guys next time. Peace out.